Well, here we are on a Saturday night sitting at the Home Depot parking lot. Things are winding down for the evening. So I'm about to pack it in for the night, go find a place to park. I'm relatively close to a light industrial area, so I'm probably going to find somewhere around there that's nice and quiet. It's Sunday tomorrow, and it should be not too bad in terms of noise and all that. So today is July 3rd, 2016, and it is my 1-year Vanniversary. Yes, I've been living in a van for 1 year. So how has it been, you say? Well, overall, not too bad at all. I'm going to talk about a few points. I'll talk about the hardest part of living in a van for me, or the hardest part of the whole experience, the best part, and if there's something I would change, and if there's something I was happy about that I made the right decision. So for me, the hardest part of living in the van, the van life, and this basically pertains to my situation, is, and probably not most other van dwellers, although some I'm sure, is being separate from my kids. That is definitely the hardest part. It's been a year since I moved out of my ex-wife's condo and left my kids. And it still affects me. I still get emotional. I'm not really a super emotional person, but that still gets me. The other day, my son, as I was leaving, my son gave me a hug and told me that he loved me. And I was leaving, and I got that big lump in my throat. And like, man, this sucks. I'm not spending nearly as much time as I used to with my kids, and I'm really unhappy about that. So, what can you do? If I want to avoid living with my ex-wife, then I can't live with my kids, and I'm missing out a lot of their childhood. And that when that time is gone, it's gone. But there's nothing really I can do about it. So in the situation that I'm in, that's just the way it's going to have to be. So hopefully as time goes on, it'll get easier. I was hoping it would be easier by now, but it's not. So that's the hardest part. And I know there's other fathers out there who are in the same situation. I know there's a couple of YouTubers like Rolling Earthship and Van Living, Tom at Van Living, and a few other guys. So it's hard. And, you got to do what you got to do. So moving on to the best part about living in a van, it's a no-brainer. It's not paying a lot of money for rent every month. In my area, to rent a decent apartment in Vancouver is going to cost like $1,200 minimum, and up. I mean, if you want to get a real in a gutter place, then yeah, you can do it for cheaper. But if you want to have some kind of standards, it's going to be at least $1,200. Unless you want to do the roommate thing and all that jazz, which I don't. So I am saving, I would say, a minimum, and that doesn't even include utilities and cable or whatever, all that stuff. So I'm saving tons of money. I'm saving a minimum of $1,000 a month. So, if I lived in the van for 12 months and it's $1,000 a month, that's $12,000. Yeah, so the best part is not having to pay all that money out. Now, if I was not in a van and I lived in an apartment and I had to pay $1,200 a month for rent and then $800 for child support, that's $2,000 out of my month's income before paying for anything else. It's like, whoa, that would be tough. So really, living in a van is, as I've said before, I thought I had three choices: live in a van, move in with roommates, or get a second job and work like 60 hours a week. And I thought I'd give the van a try first, and I'm glad I did, because it was definitely the right choice. The other day, Justin Incredible posted a video where he interviewed a young girl. I guess she's in her early 20s, and she's living in a Pleasureway Class B. And he asked her a question. I thought that was interesting. He said, if you had a situation where you had to pay $1,500 a month to live in an apartment or $1,500 a month to live in a van, which would you choose? And I believe she said I would choose to live in the van. And he said that he definitely would too. And I'm going to be honest, for me, that's not true. I wouldn't pay $1,500. If all things are equal, I'd rather be in an apartment. There's a lot of things that are frankly easier in an apartment. You don't have to worry about heat. You don't have to worry about having to take a poop somewhere. You don't have to worry about bringing water in and getting rid of waste, human waste. There's a lot of things. So, I mean, living in an apartment is easier. So if there was nothing to it, and the costs were the same, I would definitely choose an apartment. That's just a reality. But the thing is it doesn't cost $1,500 a month to live in a van. It's way, 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 way less. I mean, basically the only real difference is I'm paying more for gas. So when I had my Honda Civic, I was probably paying $80 a month, and now I'm probably paying close to $200 a month for gas. So yeah, living in a van in that way, it's no problem. I definitely wouldn't pay $1,500 a month though. I mean, I know there's the freedom of it, and you can move around. And I guess when I first moved into a van, the thing that I found was that I've kind of lost now is that there was sort of an adventure to it. It was like 2 or 3 months, and you're like, wow, this is weird. What am I going to park now? What's going to happen to this? How am I going to go to the bathroom? And you have to figure all these things out and work out the best way to do things. But now I've figured a lot of that stuff out. So the appeal, the adventure for me as a urban van dweller 100% of the time, as the adventure has really gone down. I don't really find it that adventuresome anymore. So someone might say, "One awesome inch, what is the one thing that you regret about living in a van? Like, would you do something differently?" The one thing I would do differently, maybe, is, or I wish was a little bit different, is I wish I didn't have to do all this work building this van. It's taking a long time, a lot of effort, and I've been really busy at work lately, and I haven't been working on the van. I mean, I've gotten 2 or 3 hours here and there, but it just hasn't been happening. And I got home from work and I'm tired, and the last thing I'm going to do is spend 4 hours working on the van, so I don't. But it'll get done eventually. But if I could do something different, I would love to just bought a Class B already finished, without having to build it out or anything. Of course, that has major drawbacks because it has a lot of stuff I don't want. I don't want shower. I don't want tanks to empty. There's a lot of wasted space in those things, in my opinion, for what I want. And just my opinion, other people find them great, and that's cool for them. So yeah, I made the decision to build a van, and I'm sticking to it, obviously. But that's one area I wish I could have. I don't know if I wish I could have done something different, but if there's a way I could order a van just the way I wanted it without having to pay a huge amount of money, that would be very appealing. But that's just not going to be the case. Now, one thing someone might say is, what's something that you're really happy about that you made a good decision about in terms of living in the van? Well, that would be the van choice, the van itself. Specifically having a high top. As a lot of you may know, I used to live in a Ford E150 standard cargo van, and low roof. And while it was doable, it definitely was not near as comfortable. And if you're ever thinking about making the decision, definitely go for the high top. It's worth paying maybe an extra 30 or 50 bucks a month in gas. Keep in mind all these gas prices. I'm talking about Canadian dollars, so gas is way more expensive up here. So whatever you have to do to pay to get a high top is definitely worth it to me. I mean, I remember getting out of the Ford you went 50, and after being in there for 12 hours or so, sleeping, and you get up and you get out of the van, and it's like, oh, I can stand up again. So definitely getting a high top was a great thing to do. Now, someone might say, what is the hardest part about living in a van? Like, what's the thing that is the most difficult aspect of it? And it used to be, dumping the urine, but I find I've got a good system now where I've basically found a good compromise where I just use a 3-liter laundry bottle, and every 2 or 3 days I take it and I dump it in a public toilet, and it's easy. Put a little bit of bleach in there, fabric softener, whatever, and no problem. I'm finding that it's no big deal anymore. I mean, is it gross? Yes, but it's not too bad. The hardest part, I think, right now we're in this time of year is basically the best time of year for weather. I mean, the weather in BC, Vancouver, BC, in the last month has been absolutely gorgeous. It's been perfect for living in a van. A couple times it was a bit too hot, but overall it's been very comfortable. So, having said that, my opinion right now is probably a bit biased because it's an easy time. What do they say? Summertime and living is easy. An old Janis Joplin song. Well, she didn't write it, but she did a great version of it. Anyway, so getting off topic. So what's the worst part of living in the van? It would be wintertime, getting up in the morning, and not having heat. And whatever temperature it is outside, you're snuggled in your sleeping bag, you're warm, you get out, you got to get dressed. It's freezing, and it's not pleasant. But living in a van, the hardest part is definitely dealing with cold weather. It's the worst part. And then when you come in at the end of a day or whatever, and you come into the van and it's freezing outside and it's freezing in the van, then you got to wait, more like 10, 15 minutes for the temperature of the van to increase once the heater's been turned on. But, that's how they did it in the old days. You'd have to start a fire in your fireplace or wood stove, and until that got going, you'd be cold. So living in a van is similar to that. If you're really, I'm not into macho stuff. I'm not a macho kind of guy. But at the same time, if you're an absolute wuss, living in a van might not be the right choice for you. Anyways, guys, I'm going to turn in for the night, find somewhere to park, and maybe watch the last half of The Hobbit. Man, that movie is long, 3 hours. Couldn't watch it all last night. So, thanks for watching. Take care. Have a good night.